All right, got another reaction episode today. We are going to kick it off with what Neil has first. So what do you got on your docket, Neil?
Right now, we're seeing a lot of corporations integrating AI into their businesses, and they believe it's the next best thing since sliced bread. And I believe it's just going to hurt people's marketing and user experience and just overall business when they're misusing AI. And we're seeing that all the time. I'll give you a prime example of this. So check this out. My daughter is 3 years old. She's starting at a school where you got to end up taking an IQ test. And you had to start taking the IQ test once you're 5 years old. So she's about to turn 4. So she roughly has a year before she has to take our first IQ test. And when you think about the IQ test, you do some problems, you're getting some right, you're getting some wrong. So I started Googling what is getting 8 out of 10 right? What is getting 7 out of 10 right? Just ratios, because I wanted to know. So I started having my daughter take them, and it's 100 questions. It was too many to go through. As a 3-year-old, she's not going to get through all of them. The first 10, she got 7 out of 10 right. The second 10, she got 9 out of 10. So at this point, she's averaging 8 out of, or quote unquote, 8 out of, no, not 18. She's averaging 16 out of 20. And then the next group, she got 9 out of 10, and then she got 8 out of 10. So you're doing them in batches of 10. So then when I started Googling, what does it mean if you get 8 out of 10? Because I'm just trying to figure out the score without what my daughter scores without her having to take all 100 questions. Land on Quora. Quora ends up using this AI bot that is just typing answers to you and trying to help you out. And I'm like, dude, can't you just give me the old Quora where it just tells me 8 out of 10 means this? This is the rough IQ score. Because some of these schools have minimums. If your kid doesn't score 138, you're not even allowed to apply and you can't even be admitted. Now, if your kid scores 139, 140, or whatever the number is, it still doesn't mean that your kid's going to get it. But we digress on that. Now you guys understand why I was using it. But when I was on Quora, I'm like, this is such a shit experience. Why don't you just give me the answer? I don't need some AI bot typing out to me the answer and giving me a long-winded multiple paragraph answer when I'm just looking for, hey, 8 out of 10 means this score or this range. And here's the crazy part. When it kept typing me the paragraphs, the first go around, it didn't even answer it for me. So then I click the back button, I go to the next Quora listing, and it gave me the answer. And then I just close that. And then I finally see the Quora normal thread where someone's just typing in the question, someone's answering it, and I got the answer. And I was like, cool, you're using AI where it doesn't need to be used. You could have just told me the answer that someone already answered in the shortest possible form versus showing me paragraphs of an AI bot typing out an answer to me.
Yeah, so I think what really matters here is the user experience and the context. What tends to happen when things get overhyped, such as crypto, such as AI, is we try to put crypto, we try to put blockchain into everything, we try to put AI into everything. Now, I do believe that Quora is going to figure it out over time. Are they publicly traded, Neil?
No,
I think
Quora, from my
no.
understanding, is not publicly traded. But you
Okay.
got to eventually they'll figure it out. But it was the same thing that happened with blockchain. It's the same thing that's happening with the AI. It's just if someone wants to integrate the AI with weather, what's the weather in Las Vegas, Nevada? I don't care for a paragraph answer. I just want to see a graph and a chart that just shows me the damn weather.
Yep. Look, AI is supposed to help save time, make things easier. I'm actually going to share an example of what we've been doing with our leads that come in for my ad agency, Single Grain. Okay, so this is a lead that came in, right? So it'll show like what search term they came through, and then it'll show the message and then what they're looking for, right? What we do now here is we've added this through AI. So we added a brief summary on what the company is, and we added in a couple of ideas here. So our BDRs, when they reach out to the company, it's, oh, here's what you can do. You can increase conversion rates by optimizing product descriptions, rewarding bullet points, adding comparison, top rated products, and all that. This is actually, these are generic insights, but some of the insights that I've seen are very unique to each company and they can actually be used. So this is a practical use case where we're not necessarily making it harder to get an answer. We're actually making it easier and we're making it less confusing for someone, that's what sales is at the end of the day. You're trying to build confidence. So you got to be very mindful about how you go about adding AI into your workflow. But once you got it going, it's going to take a couple iterations. It should ultimately save you time, but don't try to just stamp it onto every single thing that you're doing because sometimes it's a little unnecessary.
Yeah. If you're going to end up using AI to make your life easier, great, do it. Don't just plug in AI because everyone else is, because in some cases, or in many cases, it's going to create a worse user experience, just like I experienced on Quora, and I'm probably less likely to click through on Quora in the future until they figure it out.
Cool. All right, the next one is we wanted to talk about, there is a guy that Mr. Beast hires, a lot of the top YouTubers such as Eric, they hire this guy, his name is Patty Galloway. And what they did here was they studied 3.3 billion views to decode the YouTube Shorts algorithm. So the questions they're trying to answer here is, what makes a short go viral? How much money can they make? Are they actually good for growth? And then here are the findings. So we're gonna jump through this. Those of you that are watching on YouTube, you can follow around as I share my screen, and we'll try to narrate as well as we can through audio. So I'm going to share my screen now, and here it is. So let's just go and take a look at, here's the high level here, right? So we can see that, so he did a study, 33 YouTube channels with 54 shorts, 5,400 shorts included. So why don't we take a look at this real quick?
Number of shorts by video length.
Yep. So we can see the ones, most of the shorts are 30 to 40 seconds or so, and then the next level is 20 to 30 seconds by video length.
And they even said really short shorts are rare. So 0 to 10 seconds is extremely rare. Same with 10 to 20 seconds.
Yep. And the next slide says, but what is the best length to make for performance? And you can see far and away it is 50 to 60 seconds. Its average views by video length 1.7 million, and the next level is 800K. That's 40 to 50 seconds. So it makes a lot of sense if YouTube wants to keep you on the platform.
If you're not seeing the graph as Eric's describing it, pretty much the longer the video, the more views it gets. The shorter the video, the less views it gets. Literally, the graph is just going up as the video length goes longer.
And then let's continue on that thread too, Neil. So you can see the AVD, or the average view duration for the short. You can see it's, for the high point, 50 to 60 seconds, it's 4.1 million views for 50 to 60 seconds. And then for the next year, 40 to 50 seconds, it's 1.8 million. So it's a pretty significant difference.
And this is just reinforcing, if you're going to do shorts, try to make them 50 to 60 seconds long.
Yep. So just making a long short isn't the goal. Making a short that holds people for as long as possible is. So the takeaway one is the shorts algorithm does unsurprisingly appear to favor longer videos that hold viewer duration. So that's something most of us know here. But here's another interesting thing. I don't know if you've seen this one, Neil. We've talked about this one before, but if you're using YouTube Studio, you can actually see the percent of people that chose to view it versus swipe away. And I believe this is going to become more of a factor long term, because this kind of serves as your click-through rate when people are watching your shorts. If you can't hold them in the first second or two, that basically is your thumbnail, the first second or two. If they swipe away, then that is a negative thing for your video.
And that's the same that goes with just general social media. If people are just ignoring it, it's going to hurt you with views and likes and shares.
Yeah, and you can see over here. So as you can see by this line, shorts with under 60% VVSA, so that's views versus swiped away, rarely performed well. So that's in the red over here, if those of you that can see the screen. The best performing shorts were typically between 70 and 90%. So it's the same thing as YouTube, right? You got to have a good thumbnail, and you got to hold people, the AVD, you got to hold people, ideally to 50 to 60 seconds or so. So you decide how you want to play it there. We're going to blow through this a little faster now, but here's the second takeaway. Viewed versus swiped away is worth paying attention to. It's important to make your first second really punchy and engaging to hook viewers early into the video. Treat your intro like a thumbnail. Engagement metrics don't seem massively important, but we'll test more. And I'm going to go to takeaway number 3. So those of you can just search for Patty Galloway YouTube Shorts algorithm Twitter. You can find this. Takeaway number 3 is shorts are definitely a good way to grow your subscribers, especially considering how much lower effort is involved versus a long form video. Important to note, sub counts are not overly important in 2023, but everyone wants more. And then we'll finally go to the last takeaway, and we'll give our thoughts on this. Takeaway number 4, shorts definitely aren't money makers yet. However, let's give it some time. Expect the RPM, which is a revenue per 1,000 impressions, to rise over the next 12 months. And this guy says, are shorts worth it? I think so. If you can do them without taking away from the focus of your long form videos, go for it. So Neil, what are our thoughts on this?
YouTube's pushing short form content. They're trying to compete, and it's more so Google. Google has web stories as well, which is similar. They're trying to compete with Instagram and TikTok, so they're going to push it hard. If you want the brand awareness, you want the views on your profile, you want more subscribers, forget the dollars and revenue. But if you want the other benefits like growth, you're going to need to create shorts. It's much easier to do, but just like a long form video, it needs to be super engaging. it's really hard to A/B test the first second in a short. But let's, if for example, if you think about thumbnails, you can A/B test your YouTube thumbnails. So use your learnings from that to figure out how you should start off your shorts and how you should bait people, or more so hook them. Bait's probably a bad word to use, but hook them and make sure you provide the same value. If you quote unquote bait them and say something crazy in the first second, but you don't deliver on that, you're just going to get huge drop-offs, which is going to hurt your reach in the long run.
Yep. And the other thing too is when I look at our workflow for making shorts, both Neil and I individually, we will have days where we record content. Typically, one day will be focused on long form, the other day will be focused on shorts, just because sometimes it's a different mindset. And sometimes I might do both, but most of the time we try to split them up, because you try to crank out 15 to 20 shorts in a day, and then the long form days you might crank out like a couple of those videos. So just keep that in mind. But they are different beasts. And what you want to be doing ideally is post natively. The repurposed videos are okay, but when we do post natively, we find that they perform a lot better, and that makes a lot more sense. But just the hook matters quite a bit. Think about the AIDA model, which is attention, interest, desire, and action. So that is that. Now,
let's move on to our next topic.
Next topic. So I wanted to talk about this real quick, Neil, and then we can move on from this one because it's this week's news. I'm just going to share a graph, and we're going to leave it at that. Budweiser's 30% drop in sales. I just wanted to share something. They decided to partner with Dylan Mulvaney, and Dylan Mulvaney is known in the trans community. And I'm going to share this because Budweiser was trying to revive their reach, revive their brand. And I'm just going to share this Google graph, and we'll move on from this one because we have other topics to cover. So here is the Google graph. This is Google Trends. You can see over the last 5-year period in the United States, Budweiser has been declining in popularity, or more so breaking even, I believe. And they decided to
change it from past 5 years to past all time, or 2004.
Past all time, 2004. Yeah, they have been declining.
Yeah, they have been declining. You can easily see it. But what's the number on the screen right before the spike? The spike is at 100. It's always at 100, but go down right below. So you're looking at more than a 10x difference, closer to 11, 12x difference, which is massive in spiking brand queries.
Yep. And you can see they went hand in hand here. So Dylan Mulvaney with kind of this promotion, they both shot up like a rocket. Budweiser. I wonder who's a really popular person we can throw in here just to see. Maybe like a Logan Paul. Tom Cruise or Logan Paul?
Tom Cruise.
Why are you picking Tom Cruise, man?
Because he's consistent. Everyone already knows Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
see, you can see on this graph. Tom Cruise's brand, is it bigger? It's bigger than
We'll see about that. Okay. All right. You win. Tom Cruise is more consistent. All right. Anyway, that's our thought on that one.
Logan Paul's spikes are probably joining WWE and the Floyd Mayweather fight. Those are probably the big ones.
You're probably right. So anyway, those are our thoughts on that one. You decide how you want to play it, but we just wanted to share the stats with you. So that's that. Next topic is on Twitter blocking Substack links. Neil, you want to go on this one?
Yeah. So if there's a Substack link in Twitter, it's blocked. And some people may hate on it, but if I owned a business, why would I want to promote any other company?
Well, hold on, Neil, let me add some more context here real quick. So the reason that Twitter started to block Substack links was part of the reason was Substack made its own version of Twitter, right? And Elon will do what he wants to do. And so he's like, okay, yeah, he decided to, whoever's posting Substack links, we're either going to take away the reach or we're going to block those links straight up. And, it is what it is. And a lot of people have been using Twitter to grow their Substack accounts, which is a version of your email newsletter and your email service provider. Go ahead, Neil.
Dude, have you seen the Elon Musk BBC interview?
I did. Yeah.
Where he called the guy a liar. It's so funny because the guy,
you are a liar. That is a farce.
Yeah, because he's trying to come at him. He's like, yeah, there's a lot more misinformation and hate speech. And he's just, cool. Can you please give me an example of it? And the guy couldn't come up with one example. Over the last few months, we've been seeing, can you give me an example of it? And then he's starting to drill Elon on things like misinformation. He's like, well, BBC's been around for 100 years. Have you guys ever had misinformation? The guy's like, and I like it. Elon's giving a taste of their own medicine back to them. But look, if you own a business, you have all right to block one of your competitors from leveraging your profiles, your platform to grow. Why would you promote your competition? it doesn't make sense. Even if someone's a similar type of competitor, but not really a direct competitor, more like an indirect, why not block them? Some people may not like it, but who cares? You're in business to make money. You're not in business to grow your competition.
Yeah, it's a privately held company. He can do whatever he wants. The other lesson here is you don't want to build on someone else's land. So you want to, once you have a channel that's figured out, then you want to figure out how you can diversify as quickly as possible. And then the channels that you can quote unquote own are like your email list. I'm air quoting right now. And you can own your SMS list to a degree, right? You have a lot more control over those. No platform can just say, oh, you're going to be banned or we're going to shut you down, because a lot of people have these thread bros, I'll just call it, on Twitter. They've been growing their Substacks through writing these long threads that get good reach. And at the very end, they say, hey, subscribe to my Substack. That's what it is. I think, is he doing crazier and crazier stuff that he probably shouldn't involve himself with? What he did with the Twitter sign? Not. He can do whatever he wants. So it is what it is. We can hear this actually dovetails well into the next subject. But did you want to add anything else?
No, let's talk about Beehive and how you're using them as your newsletter platform now.
Yeah, so Beehive is another email service provider, or ESP, and Substack, I look at it as a newsletter. They're also like an ESP too, because they handle the deliverability or the delivery of the emails for you. And Beehive is interesting because they're another platform. It's spelled BHIV, and they were created by the people, these former Morning Brew employees, that's also a newsletter as well. And from their experiences working at Morning Brew, which is, they do $70 or $80 million a year right now. They're bought by Business Insider. But from their experiences, they learned, hey, what a actual good email should look like. And so in Beehive, the reason why I'm moving over from my current ESP is because they have discoverability features, meaning that if I write a newsletter, it will also recommend other similar newsletters as well, and we can all discover each other. That's one nice piece of it. The second piece is it has nice referral features in there. So I don't know if people remember when you subscribe to the Hustle or the Morning Brew newsletters, there's like these referral kind of prizes you can win for the more referrals that you give out. So that's built in as well. And it has a whole host of other features that just makes it really easy to grow a newsletter, and it's really friendly. And I do believe newsletters are one of the great ways to grow your audience and then figure out whether you want to monetize through ads or monetize through the own services and products that you provide. So that's why we think it's good. And we've talked to a lot of other email pros. More so, I talked to a guy that helped grow the Hustle newsletter and the Milk Road newsletter, and he recommends Beehive. He uses Beehive. I've talked to a handful of other ones. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to move over to Beehive as well, and they will actually help you do it. They're not paying me to say this, but that is my reasoning.
Here's the thing. If you have a super popular newsletter, I don't know if I would be using Beehive. It's not the cheapest solution. I'm not saying it's not great. It's more so if you have, like for me, I get 200,000 to 300,000 new email newsletter subscribers per month. The last thing I want is other newsletters being promoted in my blast. But on the flip side, if you have a smaller newsletter, you're just starting out, I think it's a great solution to actually grow your list faster. But on the flip side, if you're already really established, you have a big audience, it may not be in your best interest to use it. But maybe they have an option where you can block that off where they're not pushing other people's newsletters within yours.
Yeah. By the way, I should have clarified this piece. So our main newsletter for the ad agency Single Grain, we're keeping it on the current ESP, and we are moving our weekly newsletter over to Beehive. So that is a smaller newsletter. So I just want to clarify that it is a opportunity to try before we buy, almost before putting all our eggs into one basket. So food for thought.
Yeah, I like it overall, but my biggest issue is the moment you said, hey, they're going to end up promoting other people's newsletters when you send your blast. I hate that. And
no, but that's not forced. You can turn that off if you want.
Okay, if you can turn that off, then I don't really see an issue with it, but that was my biggest pet peeve with it.
Yeah. Let's talk about the next one on the HBO Max rebrand. Do you want to give some context around it?
Go for it. Do you know, what was it, John Wick or was it Creed? One of those movies will not be on HBO Max. It was one of them.
I had no idea, but you're the one that watches more TV than I do.
So if you guys don't know, HBO Max, they're rebranding and it's going to be called, what is it going to be called now? Warner something?
No,
or Warner Max?
No, just Max, I think.
Is it just Max? I thought it was Warner something.
No, yeah, let's Google HBO Max rebrand to Max. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Max.
It's just Max. But when you look at HBO Max, this is first a pet peeve, and this has nothing to do with marketing. If you ever download HBO Max videos and you go fly on an airplane, it does not work, and you cannot watch them on an airplane. I don't know why. I've tried so many times
Oh,
to
that's
figure this
true.
out, and I just don't get it. Then why let me even download this if I can't watch it when I'm not on Wi-Fi? It doesn't make sense to me. Either way, it makes sense on the rebrand, because why limit it to HBO Max? And what's funny is when I pay for a lot of the streaming services, so Netflix, Disney, Paramount Plus, I have Peacock, I have a lot of them, Apple TV. So I'm pretty much paying for most of the services out there, even Hulu. But when I think of HBO Max, I'm mainly thinking of HBO and Showtime, even though Showtime's not really on there. You can get Showtime stuff on Paramount Plus, at least the last I checked. But getting away from that rebrand, I think, is a smart move, because it'll take away the stigma that it's just quote unquote HBO Max and their limited inventory or category being uploaded, because that's not really true right now. There's more stuff uploaded than just what they show on HBO, but that's what a lot of people think.
Here's my take on it. I think the name Max is a nice name. I just wonder short term if that's a good move, because the name HBO has so much legacy. HBO, when I think about HBO, is high quality content. I think about Entourage. Was Entourage on HBO? It was, right? I think
Pretty
about
sure
just
it
good
was, yeah.
shows. Game of Thrones. Yeah, so Game of
Game of
Thrones,
Thrones was there.
Entourage, all really good shows. Yep. And so I see there being like, why not just, there's been an HBO before, but why like throw away the HBO name? That's where I'm coming from. I don't know if there's any vesture of like brands there. I think maybe they're offloading HBO from Warner. Was that what it was, Neil?
Well, right now I'm on Google Trends right now, but Warner Brothers or Warner Bros as a topic is not as popular as HBO. So based on what you're saying, they probably should just keep it HBO Max. That's what people are typing and searching in. I think if they just end up changing it to Max, they're going to lose a lot of brand. It makes sense on why they're trying to do it, but in the short run, they're going to get hit on brand searches. And what they'll just have to do is spend the advertising dollars all over again and build up the new brand Max.
Yeah, we're talking about brand equity here, right? When you think about, here's a good example of a rebrand here. Typically, you see brands happen when either the company isn't doing well, like for example, Time Warner becoming Spectrum or something, like the cable, because they just got so many bad reviews. That's one. The other one is Facebook rebranding to Meta, and that's just led to more confusion, I believe, than any help in the last couple of years. I still call it Facebook, Neil. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, I did too. Here's an interesting stat. So I'm looking at Google Trends on my screen. Max is 83 times more popular than HBO Max. And yes, HBO Max does rank number one on Google for Max, but there's a lot of other Maxes that people are looking for, such as Max official website or Max Music. There's also Max on YouTube, Max Market, Max, which is a movie from 2015, and the list goes on and on. What you're going to have is you're going to have some confusion, because maybe people are looking for Remax, or maybe they're looking for some other brand that has Max in there.
Yep. All right. So that one's that. The last topic I wanted to cover here was from a friend of mine. His name's Greg Isenberg. He's known on the Twitters as being the guy that talks about community. And what he's done is he's doing a 30-day case study with ChatGPT on how to grow his TikTok to 1 million followers in 30 days. And so I'm going to share this. So here's day 30 over here, and he's actually made a TikTok. So day 30 of letting ChatGPT run my life to get me to 1 million followers. Update, it's working, and I'm still bad at TikTok. So basically, he's getting like a script each day to help him get there. And I think now, so he's at 818 followers. He started from 0 3 days ago. Keep in mind, though, it's not exactly fair, because he does have 330,000 followers on Twitter. So I think some people are following his challenge here. But I think there's a couple lessons here. One is, you build in public, you're gonna have content for the next 30 days, and you're just telling a story. And this post alone, posted 5 hours ago, already has 70,000 reach. So I think he's gonna build a TikTok with at least a couple thousand, let's say 20, 30, 40,000 followers or so. At least that gets him a lot closer to the million goal that he's aiming for. So I think this is a fun experiment. The other thing is, I think more people can learn from this, because this format was literally taken from someone else that did this a couple weeks ago, trying to build a business from scratch with ChatGPT assisting. So your mileage may vary, but I think this is an interesting content format.
Yeah, it is really interesting content format, and he's built up a large following, walking through the journey and having everyone follow him.
Yep. We're talking about the business guy, or we're talking about Greg here?
Greg.
Greg already had this following. I'm talking about the other guy, but the other guy built a following because it was such a unique format on Twitter.
Yeah, you could end up doing that. When back in the day, I had something called My Journey to $100,000 a month. So by just showing, and I didn't realize that Greg had the following beforehand because I learned about Greg from this. But when I did my journey from $0 to $100,000 a month, I started getting a lot more new people following me when I was breaking down everything that I learned going from $0 to $100,000 a month. And I created a new business from scratch, and I was just breaking down everything that people could learn as I was learning it.
Did that actually work out? Can you, because I remember you did that. This was like 10 years ago or so, but did you actually get it to 100,000?
I did. It took me less than 12 months. I think it was like on the 10th month or something. I'm taking a guess on when I hit it. Now, 100 grand a month in revenue, just to clarify here, does not mean 100 grand in profit. So it doesn't mean I'm making 100 grand in profit and putting that in my pocket, or I wasn't, at least back then, from that business. But I was breaking down how anyone can do marketing, anyone can do really well. And I was just showcasing, hey, if I could do it from scratch, you can too. And I had my audience pick a business. They picked a random business that I wasn't an expert in, built it up from 0 to 100 grand a month in revenue in less than 12 months. And it was in e-commerce. It worked really well.
Yeah. So Neil spent $12 million to make 1.2. I'm just kidding. Cool. So
I was limited on budget too, by the way. I told people I wouldn't spend more than X dollars. I forgot what the amount was.
Is that on the Quicksprout blog still?
I think they deleted it. The guys who ended up taking it over deleted a lot of the old content and then just focused.
It is what it is. All right, everyone, that's the pod for this week. Let us know what you think in the reviews. The reviews are helping a lot, by the way. Please leave more reviews as our rankings are climbing high again on the podcast rankings. So thank you so much and have a good rest of your day.